Hi everyone, welcome back to the Academy of God. And today, I wanted to share with you an experience that the Lord gave me, and that concerns the underground cities. Now, I have to say that I myself have heard stories and testimonies in the past of people claiming that there were cities underground. And by this time, what happened is the Lord took me in the spirit, and I was in Canada, in the nation of Canada, in a certain city, and I went to this particular school as if I was being enrolled in that school. It was a private school, and it seemed that that school, even though it was in Canada, in the province of Quebec, it was established from by a French people. So you could say that it was a French private school in Canada. And if I remember correctly, it was a college, or yes, it was something like the end of high school or college type of things. And I attended there because they also had dorms to basically sleep there and live there as you study. Now, what is interesting is when I arrived in that place, I wasn't alone, but there was another girl with me who seemed to be new. And we were welcomed by, I could say, a young woman and another boy who seemed to be students there. And they took us inside the school. But what I found interesting is that instead of giving us a tour of the school, we basically stood at the entrance inside, and I don't remember what she did or what she activated, but the entire floor was an elevator. The whole floor started descending, and extremely fast. And as we descended, we were talking, and I noticed that it took a very, very long time, as if we were going miles and miles, like hundreds of miles or thousands of miles, or you could say thousands of kilometers underground. We're just descending at a very high speed, and even though we were descending at a very high speed, it took us a very, very long time. And finally, as we were descending, I saw that we found ourselves like descending now in a tube, meaning we could see through glasses as if it was transparent, and we were still descending, and I saw that we had arrived at you could say, quote unquote, a first level. And it wasn't a hall, or maybe it didn't look like a cave. If anything, it was big enough. It was a city basically. But what I mean by big, I'm talking about the height of that underground place. The height was big enough to the point that when looking upward, I couldn't see, like, when you reach the floor of that first city, of that first floor, you couldn't see, for example, the ceiling. The whole city was being lit up by something upward. It was being lit up as if it was an artificial sky, you could say. But whatever was forming that, it gave an impression of a fake sky, if you want to see it that way. And it was high enough to the point where I was seeing buildings being built there, and especially what looked like castles being built in that place. I saw kind of castles, but not the size of what we know on our surface, on the surface of the earth. It looked like much, much, much bigger than that. It was very imposing. And these castles were being built under the earth, like underground. And no matter how tall they were not reaching the ceiling of that city. And when I arrived there, I I had the knowledge that the people who were there, this place was full of occultic people, and I call them satanic. What I mean by satanic, it doesn't mean that they are practicing the satanic religion. It means that they are agents of the devil. I felt like they were all occultic, meaning they had abilities that were not normal. Pretty much and everyone living in that city. You could basically say that they were the real version, the real world version of Harry Potter, of the witches in Harry Potter. That's how it felt. Like they had real powers and they were living there. But what's interesting is that when this elevator, which remember was the entire floor of that school, when it reached the ground level of that city, it didn't stop there, but it continued underground. It continued. And it went deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then we reached another level, which were far, far deeper than this first level city. And there also, I felt like this place was full of witches, full of wizards. And I'm talking about real witches and wizards, people who have been initiated through all kinds of spiritual means. They are being empowered by satanic forces. They have powers and abilities which we often see in movies. And the city was full of them. And it wasn't the only city. There were many, many other cities like that. But this is the city that we stopped at. And when that elevator stopped at the floor of that second underground city, when I left that place and realized that the city was basically full of when I left that elevator and I realized that this city was full of satanic or agents, I was quite afraid because I thought to myself that, hey, uh, I am from the kingdom of light, and now I find myself basically in the enemy camp. And it was just by the grace of God that these people thought that I was one of them. They thought that I was a witch just like them. They couldn't figure out my true identity. So I just started I just began to pray in my heart that I would not be found out. And then the girl who the young woman who was guiding us started to give us a tour of that city. And this is when it basically the experience stopped for me. So why am I sharing this with you guys? It's so that we realize that this world is not what it seems to be. And as I'm saying that, I just remember that while I was descending in that elevator and looking at these cities, and they were very very big, like our normal cities on the surface of the earth, and it was filled with people there, filled with people, and they were all agents of Satan. When I saw that, I realized the first thing that came up in my mind was the realization that everything, and I mean every single thing, this is how it came to me, that every single thing that they show us in their movies was true. It just came, and that realization came to me that every single thing that they are showing us in their movies is real. The things that you see in their uh, stories of fiction that looks like with witches, people with powers, fantasy movies, even the sci-fi movies, all these things are real. All these things are true. They are inspired of by true things. Harry Potter, whatever. These people who go to some sort of magical schools full of witches learning to use powers and whatever. And no normal humans ever found out about Pudlor. No normal human ever went there. They didn't have access to that place. Yet, that place existed in the real world. And they could go, and only the witches knew how to have access to that place. Things like that. And also the realization that the agents of Satan, they are not in the minority. They are the majority. They are the majority, guys. People who are walking with Satan, filled with satanic powers and abilities. They are not the minority in this world. There are there are a lot of them. There are a lot of they are in a very large number. And these people can be anyone you meet in your everyday life. They know how to get access to these places, but normal people don't. Normal people don't. But those who are in the group, they know how to get in those cities, and they have access everywhere. See, when the Lord Jesus said that this world is being ruled by the devil, it is. And we are not only talking about people in position of powers. We're talking about some engineers. We're talking about doctors. These kind of things, they are there. Because obviously, the buildings that I saw there, the cars, I saw cars, guys. I saw vehicles. I saw all kinds of technology on the ground. And the people that I saw there, they were humans, like occultic people, yes, but humans. They were the ones being building these things. Of course, we could argue that maybe there were some non-humans sprinkled in the mix, but one thing's for sure is that the people there, they had supernatural abilities. They were not your normal human. And they were satanic agents. And this should be an encouragement for us to really seek the Lord so that we grow in power, in knowledge, in wisdom too. Because the agents of Satan, they are not sleeping. They are working. They are progressing. And we have to do the same. We have to work, progress, and grow in the Lord.